What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, talking to you about the 7 Deadly Sins, Nanatsu no Taizai, manga chapter, if I remember correctly, 322, titled When You Call My Name. And when it means a reference to When You Call My Name, it's obvious what they're talking about. You know, he who should not be named, Escanor. Because once you say his name, you're basically dead because he will not show you mercy. But yeah, when it comes to this chapter, for the most part, I really enjoyed the parts when it came to Escanor. And you could tell that this was going to be an Escanor-centered chapter, or at least parts of it were going to be, when the first panel that you see is literally just Escanor, like, gripping his fist, having just this face of, like, I'm about to kill somebody. Which is then preceded within the next page of him basically giving like a monologue. And what is cool is that Diane says a poem. And basically what this monologue is showing is basically saying that he's not afraid, that when it comes to these 7 heroes are back to this corner, fear and despair, like all this stuff has nothing to do because they will always fight for their friendship. And this is being marked by fate, I gave up. And basically, he basically gives this poem as a source of, yeah, I'm doing this because I want to, because I need to show my gratitude for my friends. Which, you would think that showing gratitude in comparison to what Escanor used to be, which is like fully prideful in like his abilities, like he would never like show gratitude. But it's not like, but the difference is like he usually has that pride with his like fighting abilities. But he also holds pride in the fact that even though he's the most powerful man, or powerful thing in the world, he still has friends that would care about him. So not only does he have pride in his strength, but he has pride in his friends and family, which is basically ties up a lot of things that happen with Escanor, in which he's always been prideful, and it's built upon a little bit of what we saw a few chapters ago, where like even though he was in his weakened state, he still had that pride to protect his friends, which ties into the fact that he is the sin of pride, the lion sin of pride, which also means that there are probably, there are death flags. There are extremely high possibility that Escanor will die. And even when it comes to the world of 7 Deadly Sins, there are a few often times where people get brought back to life. I can't really think of, oh gosh, Bond's girlfriend, oh gosh. Sorry guys, I'm coming down, I'm getting over a little sickness, but yeah, there's been many instances where people have died, and there have been many instances when people have stayed dead. They haven't been main characters, but they have been characters who have contributed to the plot in one form or another. One of those times including the girl who really likes Bond that we see in like the first few episodes of the anime, when we see Bond, like her, I forgot what her name is, but like she had a brother who was a holy knight and she disdained him for it and he died. He's just straight up dead. Also like a lot of the holy knights, like yeah, they're dead, but like we didn't really know who they are, but like people have died. Even Arthur, as far as we know, he's also dead. Me personally, I don't think he's gonna stay dead, especially since we see what happens at the end of this chapter and what I've been saying for the past few reviews. I don't think Arthur's gonna stay dead, or if he does die, or if he is going to die, he'll come back to life shortly and then die. But I got a little bit off track. Let's go back to Escanor literally about to murk the Demon King, because literally the next shot after that page, you just see Escanor holding up his hand, blocking the Demon King's sword, and he's just, oh, I will gladly put my life on the line for my friends, as he just blocks the Demon King's sword, and the Demon King's just looking at him, it's like, what is with you? What is this thing doing? What is this human doing? And then you just see him yell up there, and he's like, yo, I'm sorry I can't help you guys, but y'all can basically do this all by yourselves. Like, the weight of the world is on y'all's shoulders, the 7 Deadly Sins. As he is looking down, I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, there's nothing else they can really do. And like all of his friends are just looking at Escanor, and it's like, why? No, you're going to die if you use the power. And Escanor just looks back like he's about to say something to Captain Meliodas, and he just gets like almost side slapped like by the Demon King, like side slap. And then like Escanor's like, oh, and then immediately afterwards the Demon King just is about to go in for another attack, but Escanor just slices into him like with one hand, and he calls it his divine spear, Escanor, and I'm like, yes, Escanor, beat his butt, because he immediately comes out with a cheap shot, and this is exactly what it says, a cheap shot like that won't even come close to bringing me down. I'm like, yes, Escanor, yes. And then like the Demon King gets a little bit like drawn back, but then he immediately goes for another attack called God's Divine Slashes, and like we begin to see Escanor get cut up. And when it comes to the Seven Deadly Sins, like we see him getting cut up, but it's like nothing like this. Like he like, but what is even great afterward, like after he gets slashed, he's like, Divine Sword Escanor, and then makes a comment of killing a god is like basically like the only thing. It's like literally like he would expect nothing else from the last embers of his fire. It's like killing a god? Well, that would be the last thing I do before I die. And I'm not surprised. And literally what he says is, such is the only way that this fire within me will die out. It's like, oh yeah, my fire will die out once I kill this god. And he immediately makes a comment of like, basically, Captain, let me handle this. I cannot promise that I won't accidentally kill your brother, so make this quick. And he's like, and the Demon King's like, accidentally kill me? What are you talking about? Goes in for another slash on Escanor. Bond comes in out of nowhere, and you're like, yes, we get Bond is a beast now. Like, he can barely get damage, and like his speed and everything is just increased because he was in purgatory. And then the Demon King's like thrown back a little, and then all of a sudden you see King's weapons just coming out of nowhere and just starts firing, and it's like, it's still like a 3-on-1 as it was beforehand, but now you have basically Meliodas in the background as like basically like a side man, and it's like, yeah, this is what we needed, because now like we can hold him back and like be on like the defense and the offense, and we can like get a clean shot on him to get into his head, which immediately cuts to Gother using his sacred treasure to basically like fire basically their memories or their like kind of essence into the Demon King, which they succeed in. And then we automatically get to see Escanor and not Escanor. You see Meliodas and Gother going into the mine, and then they basically like go into like, where are we now? And Meliodas makes a comment, it's like, yeah, this is where me and my brother spent some time like hunting dragons. So like the memory is like reminiscing of like Zeldatros's memories of like good times with his brother. And this is where we get a little exposition about like, oh yeah, we cannot interact with them because once we do that, we'll disappear. So it's more of like time and like being on the defensive, because like if they get touched basically by like the people in the mines, then they'll just go away. And here's where another piece of confirmation in my mind comes from, is that they make a comment of like, there's only two people in here, the Demon King and Zeldatros. And then when they finally run into like the people in there, which we saw would be Zeldatros and his girlfriend, Vampire Girl, you have to come to the conclusion that, oh yeah, that's the Demon King taking on the form of Zeldatros's girlfriend, which is really messed up when you think about it, because like, I'm gonna pretend to be her to trick you, and like even with the face that she makes, it's like, oh yeah, she's definitely the Demon King. So now they're facing them like face to face. we're not sure what's about to happen, but like we know that something's gonna go down. And then we make an immediate cut back to the fight on the outside, and then you see this like dark bubble, and you're like, who is that? And like the person makes a comment, it's like, oh wow, these guys are monsters, in reference to the 7 Ever Since, which when it comes to like being monsters, they truly are monsters. And after that, you immediately come to like Bond taking on the Demon King, have separately King taking on the Demon King, and then you just have Escanor just uppercutting the Demon King in its jaw. And as soon as that happens, blood comes out of the Demon King's mouth, hits the area where this dark orb is, And then you see this girl pick up the blood with her hand, lick it, and it's like, Zell, I finally found you. And then you just see a full frontal picture of, obviously, the vampire that Zeldatros fell in love with. And then you also see Gulther and Meliodas going up against the Demon King dressed up as Zeldatros' girlfriend, and Zell as well, being wrapped up in like kind of like spider web like fabric. We saw him disappearing at first, but that's a little bit out there. But yeah, so we come to the end of the chapter. When it comes to this chapter, I think this might have been like the better chapters that we've had so far. It is probably because the pacing has basically escalated a little bit, but that's okay because we're basically approaching the end. I think what was missing was more of like an emotional impact. Like a lot of the past few chapters were just fighting. Like probably the last like good chapter that I can truly say was a good chapter was the fight between Escanor and that monster, and because of that emotional impact. And even in this chapter, it's like, yes, Escanor is there, his death flags are waving, but like it is more impactful because not only is it just fighting, but it's also fighting with a purpose. And I think that's probably what makes this chapter escalate to another level above the other ones. So if we have like Escanor like basically proclaiming that, yes, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna kill a god. And then you have the 7 deadly sins going in on the Demon King. We finally see that Gulther and Meliodas go into the Demon King's mind, is about to confront him. And probably the most important part is that we see Zeldatros' girlfriend. And we're following a trend that I basically predicted a few chapters ago, where we'll see Escanor, and then we'll immediately see Zeldatros' girlfriend come in. And then after that, Arthur's gonna come in. Because, like I was saying, those like 3 main characters that just have to be involved in this final fight, because because obviously Escanor, because he's a sin, Zeldatros' girlfriend because she's his girlfriend, and Arthur because like he's the king of Camelot, and like he has beef with the Demon King, also because basically the Demon King like basically skewered him. So what I believe is gonna happen is that in the next 2 or 3 chapters, like they're gonna go in this fight, they're gonna infiltrate the mind. They may be pushed back by the Demon King, and then Arthur comes in. Like, I want Arthur to get like a solid blow, because it's either Arthur kills the Demon King or Escanor kills the Demon King. But the only problem is if Escanor kills the Demon King, Arthur will not have a chance to kill him. But if like Arthur kills the Demon King, then Escanor doesn't get a chance to kill him. And this is important because it's like Escanor kills the Demon King and dies immediately and doesn't come back. But if Arthur does it, Escanor dies and he doesn't achieve anything. So what I really hope is that what I would prefer is Arthur coming in, doing like some final blows, everything is normal. The Demon King is like, no, this is not gonna happen. And you just see Escanor going for that final slash. I want them all to be involved, but I want Escanor to get that final slash because immediately afterwards he has to die. And then everything goes back to not square one, but everything becomes more calm, and then they eventually, Zeldatros may stay in the real world, or may go back to the demon world. Chances are high enough he'll go to the demon world and hang out with his brother, and then they'll bring Elizabeth with it as well, with Meliodas. So yeah, when it comes to this chapter, if I were to give it a score, I would give it a solid 4 out of 5. I think the emotional impact of Escanor basically proclaiming his death, just the fighting between like Bond, King, and Escanor going up against the Demon King, and how each one of them, it just shows how strong this deadly sins are. I thought that was really good. And when it came to like the pacing of this chapter, I thought that was really well done as well. So with all that out the way, as I said, hopefully y'all enjoyed this review of the 7 Deadly Sins, and hopefully you can catch me next week for 7 Deadly Sins, because unfortunately my hero is most likely than not going to be on a break this week, as well as One Piece. I know I missed the last one, but that was because, like I said, I hadn't been feeling well. And I may or may not do it every week or every other week. It just depends on how I'm feeling, but I will always do 7 Deadly Sins, and I will always do My Hero Academia every Tuesday and Friday when the scans come out and the translations. And if anything, if you want me to do the official ones, maybe I can do those. But until then, hopefully I will catch you guys next time, and y'all have a good one. Goodbye!